Welcome to the show. Let's begin with the latest case of COVID-19. 7-day in daily change, 7-day average, 69 cases. New cases, 93. 283 in the state of Texas, 2.83 million in the state of Texas, plus 2468 new cases. None have recovered, 65 new deaths, along with 49,062. 93 new cases in Oasis County, added to 40,257, with 758 deaths plus 2 new deaths. State of Texas, 31.2 million plus 64,338. None have recovered, along with 562K deaths and 700 new cases, new deaths. Let's look at the vaccinations here. As of today, 9.2 million have had at least one dose, and 5.6 have been fully vaccinated. That's good. California, 15.1 have had at least one dose, and 8.3 million have been fully vaccinated, 21.1% and 38.3%. Let's look at the daily change. Now the daily change from California. As of yesterday, in the 7-day average, there's been 2651 in the 7-day average, with 2977. California, its cases are 3.7 million plus 2977 new cases. 89 new deaths, along with 60,401. Los Angeles County, 1.23 million plus 753. 23,493 deaths plus 36 new ones. So that brings it up to 23,000, almost 23,500. Almost that close to that range. What can we do? As I've always said to you dozens and dozens of times throughout these days that we've been covering COVID, what you need to do is make sure, and I do mean make sure, that you wear a mask at all times. Mask should be at the bridge of the nose, not down here, nor at the chin. The only time you can take off your mask is if you're eating, drinking, or going swimming. Which reminds me, Hurricane Alley in Corpus Christi was shut down because of the pandemic, but it's back. Masks are still required, and social distancing is still required. What can I do to make sure about that? Well, what you can do is make sure that you're being socially distanced at all times. 6 feet. And if you're vaccinated, you should be getting that vaccine. And since this is 1 year since it is almost 1 year since COVID, before we get into the rest of the tips, let's look back at the COVID challenge from Dr. Phil. I mean, last year, since COVID, this TikTok star, and I was the second one to report it, this TikTok star was called out by Dr. Phil for licking a toilet seat. That's unacceptable. You can't be licking a damn toilet seat. You're gonna get yourself sick. And Ava was a former guest. Yeah, toilet seat. I understand, but it's unacceptable. Now the rest of the tips. Social distancing, 6 feet. Don't listen to those anti-maskers. Always disinfect your area every time. If you have a medical condition, you're 2 years old, don't be wearing those masks. If you have a medical condition, just make sure that, just always, make sure that you let them know beforehand that you have a medical condition. If they allow that, then it's okay. If not, wear a mask. We need to be safe. That's the COVID wrap-up. Yesterday, we looked into the prom dress controversy. Now, if you were here yesterday, you may remember this. We looked at some news articles and giving you guys some tips on what to wear or not to wear to prom. But today, part 2 of this prom dress controversy continues with a look at more articles. And we're also going to look at some school handbooks that have that prom dress code controversy. Do they have it? Or do most schools allow kids who will go to prom to wear whatever they want? But remember, prom is a school-based event. It's a school-sponsored event, and every prom system has a dress code. Every school dance has a dress code. You gotta wear something nice. You gotta wear a suit and a tie. So to continue this, we're going back to Shelton, to where many years ago, where 5 years ago, there's been a prom dress code, and parents were mad, and the superintendent responded on media. So, we're going to continue over this by taking a look. So, take a look. And let me remind you this before we continue. I am a this. I never went to prom.
After a long week.
And let me remind you this. I do not oppose. I am not criticizing their dress code. I'm not criticizing all schools' dress code. I am above and beyond this dress code, and I stand by it. Does that mean I work for the school? No. I agree for what the dress code says. And for all parents out there who may have a different opinion, then that's your opinion. But just don't take it up to media. Take a look.
After a long week of debate over what is considered appropriate for prom, the big night in Shelton has come and gone. News 8's Josh Heinblum has been following this story from the very beginning. He went to Shelton last night and has more.
Here's a follow-up.
In buses, limousines, and cars, around 550 students from Shelton High School descended on the Oakdale Theater in Wallingford for their junior-senior prom. A scene typical this time of year at venues across the country. What's different, though, about the night that unfolded for students here, it was surrounded in controversy after the headmaster made an announcement last week that students who wore dresses with outfits that were backless, had cutouts, or had an exposed midriff would not be allowed to go to prom, and the cost of the ticket to attend would not be reimbursed. A move that upset parents and students alike.
It definitely affects a lot of girls, and moves are not appropriate for prom, so I don't know what their options are.
It's just really harsh. We were all shocked that it came out.
Even Sunday night, there were still people frustrated the situation unfolded like it did.
I think they're making a big deal out of nothing nowadays. It's a little too much that they concern themselves with.
In the days after the announcement was made, News 8 received dozens of emails and messages on social media from those concerned the prom dresses they purchased didn't fall in line with the headmaster's edict. Yet school administrators still insisted they would stand behind their policy.
As a school system, we have the right, and I think we have the responsibility, to set a standard.
But on Friday, we received the following statement from district officials that...
And this is what their statement said. Following review of the prom dresses, the final number of those that have been deemed inappropriate is 6. Our review committee comprised the 7 female staff members reviewed over more than 150 dresses in all.
Reads in part, following a final review of prom dresses, the final number of those that have been deemed inappropriate is 6. Our review committee, comprised of 7 female staff members, reviewed more than 150 dresses in all. News 8 was outside the Oakdale for much of the evening's festivities, but were not allowed on the grounds. If anyone was turned away, they haven't reached out to us. But those we did talk to who were permitted to stop by say it looked like everyone was having a good time.
Nice job. I mean, you have to give them credit. They do a nice job.
In Walton for Josh Shelton, News 8.
I agree. But there's another one. There was a
issue
petition.
surrounding these prom dresses at Shelton High School is getting a great.
This was the third one.
That is not nearly as serious, but still getting a lot of attention, not only around Connecticut, but around the country at this point. News 8 continues to watch the situation unfold.
And I'm still watching that
Shelton,
situation
the story
right now.
that first came to us through a reporter. Girls told just about a week before the prom that some of them would have to change their dresses or not be allowed to go.
Now there's a petition circulating to change the dress code policy being enforced by the school. We're told 450 students have signed the petition. More are expected to sign it before it's presented to the Board of Education. The whole thing getting national attention, as Jim mentioned. Just yesterday, the superintendent of Shelton Public Schools told News 8 the district is standing by its policy.
And in terms of a prom, this is a school-sponsored event. Okay, this is not a individual event. It's a school-sponsored event. As a school system, we have the right, and I think we have a responsibility, to set a standard.
Now here's what the students are arguing. They say the school handbook does not talk specifically about prom. And they say there's a double standard going on here. Many have told us about a Mr. Student Body pageant, which apparently features boys in nothing but boxers. So this is kind of what people are upset about, saying there's this double standards, plus girls in Shelton have already bought their dresses. They're saying it's too late and too expensive to replace the dresses now. So News 8 has your back with a closer look at some of the styles that are causing all this uproar. We're talking dresses that expose girls' backs, upper legs. Risque.
Yikes. News 8's
Not the prom dress that I used to wear.
News 8's prom fashion specialist, Brian Spiro, standing by with a special
And here's
guest
what he has to say.
That's right, Brian.
My parents must be proud. All right, good morning, Jim and Allie. Well, as you just mentioned, the issue surrounding these prom dresses at Shelton High School is getting a great deal of attention. And joining us this morning with some perspective on the matter is Asiya K of Asiya's Boutique in Madison. Good morning, and thanks for being here. So the first thing, the pictures that we've been getting from the girls, who their dresses are now in question, and there's a lot of them. They're all very different, but is what we're seeing, is that the style right now? Is that what girls are buying?
The style is defined after Oscars and Golden Globe and what the stars are wearing, and these girls are idling those stars, and they choose the dresses that are close or similar to those dresses. So color-wise, cut-wise, and style-wise.
So we should blame the celebrities for this issue right now. So, you know, at your boutique, you do things a little differently, and one of the things you do is you get the parents involved. Explain why this is so important and what advice you would have for anyone who has children who's going to be going to prom next year or the years to come.
We encourage the parents to be with their daughters when they come to prom shopping, not just because of choosing the right dress, but also that experience, mother and daughter experience. It is very important. These teenager girls are out for their, especially first black tie event, most of them, and they need guidance. They need to have that guidance from their parents. I think parents are the main people who decides what they should wear, and sometimes dads have different standards than moms and the daughters.
Exactly.
Moms are there to direct the daughters, and we help them with that. We will not sell a dress without parents' permission, just to the children.
And then real quick, just a few seconds left on the flip side of all of this, some of these dresses are very expensive, they're very unique.
They are, yes.
Kids need to know the policy of their each individual school.
Well, kids needs to know the policy, and the schools actually need to tell them the policy a little longer time than 8 days. It is not
Like
fair
2 weeks
to
in
them to
advance.
help these girls
You don't
purchase
need to be
their
like doing
dresses
1 week in
January.
advance.
Exactly.
It's
And,
not right.
they have alterations.
If you're going to be
they have
enforcing
shoes
that policy,
to
you just
match,
got to
they
do
have
it weeks
jewelry
in
to match,
advance.
they have
And we're doing it a
hairstyles
week
to match.
before
So
prom.
those are all important facts, and it's very important to understand what's
Exactly, I agree with what she's saying.
Some of the Catholic schools have dress codes, and we as a
Right.
store encourage those.
So a lot of stuff that
dress
people
codes.
need to keep in mind for this, obviously, so they can have fun and enjoy it. So
Yeah.
thank you for being here with us this
Thank
morning. We
you.
certainly appreciate it. And of course, Good Morning America will have much more on this story coming up at 7 o'clock. For now, we're going to send it back to you guys over on the anchor desk.
Thanks.
Agreed.
You know,
I think there's one more that I accidentally pressed the back button. 1, 2.
It's causing a big stir in Shelton. Teens were told they can't wear them to prom, but with some of them paid for and even altered, they're asking the school to reconsider. News 8's Josh Scheinblum is live in Norwalk tonight with the very latest.
And Josh has more.
Aaron, the days until prom over at Shelton High School are fastly ticking by. It's going to be on Saturday, and students have really the next week before they can get approval for their dresses or not. This has been a very controversial topic in that town. On Friday, our inboxes were filled with messages from students sending us pictures of their dresses that they are concerned will no longer be deemed appropriate under the school's prom dress code. Now, we want to tell you a little bit about the background here on this story, and these are some of the photos that you're going to be seeing of dresses that were submitted to us by students. Now, this story begins in Shelton High School when an announcement was made by the headmaster of the school telling students that if they wear dresses that show a midriff exposed, dresses where there's no back or with side cuts, they would be turned away at the door and they would not be reimbursed for the money that they spent on those tickets.
Not
now,
be
because there are so
reimbursed?
few days till prom, that has some speaking out that they simply haven't had enough time. And the school also sent us a statement.
And they sent the statement. We made sure that the guidelines were set well in advance of this event so that both students and the parents were aware of our expectations due to the fact that in years past some very questionable dresses were worn or feared by prom.
We made sure that the guide to be a safe and memorable evening for everyone. Now, when we first did this story on Friday, we did not yet have this statement from the superintendent's office. Now that we have this statement, there are parents who are still contacting us at News 8, and they say they want to speak out about it. So coming up tonight at 10 and 11 o'clock, we will tell you what they have to say. For now, we're live in Norwalk. Josh Scheinblum, News 8.
But what do the parents have to say about this? I think they're anything.
It's causing a big stir in Shelton.
Mel just jumped up on the table for the first time.
Yes.
But what do the parents have to say? When we come back, what the parents have to say about this, and what do the kids have to say, and what does the superintendent say now that News 8 did that story? We'll be right back. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, we're talking about yesterday we did the story about the prom controversy dresses, about the controversy prom dress. Basically what that means is all schools have strict dress codes when it comes to prom. What does that mean for your child when they spend $1,000, $10,000 on it, whatever, how much the big price is for that dress? Well, Shelton High School was a big example for this. Parents and kids are filling the News 8's news boxes, inboxes with lots of pictures. But the question is, what do the parents have to say? Well, the controversy continues. Let's listen.
Mel just jumped up on the table for the first time,
Yes,
so she's
yes.
clearly excited about this prom story. The pictures and comments just keep pouring in on this one. A lot of people have a lot of things to say. Just days away from their prom, girls at one public high school are being told to cover up or else.
Yep.
We've got your back in Shelton where there's a battle brewing between students and school officials.
Yeah, they've got a dress code there for the prom, and some students are saying that's news to us. They just got all these other dresses that now don't fit the bill. News 8's Brian Spiralis is live from Shelton this morning, and Brian, the kids and families, they're not happy about this at all.
Well, good morning, Jim and Allie. As you can imagine, a lot of people not happy about this. Students and their parents, especially since prom is this coming Saturday. As a matter of fact, students, when they arrive here at school this morning, they plan to pass around a petition. Now, all of this began this past Friday when an announcement was made on the intercom here at the school reminding students of the dress code for prom. And basically anyone with a midriff, back, or side showing will be turned away from prom. Students say this was not told to them ahead of time. They've already purchased their dresses and had alterations made. The school says they're only aware of 6 or 7 dresses that were deemed inappropriate. The superintendent released a statement, part of which saying, quote, "We made sure that guidelines were set well in advance of this event so that both students and their parents were aware of our expectations due to the fact that in years past, some very questionable dresses were worn by a few to prom."
Is what they said in that statement correct?
No. It can't. Maybe they've only heard from 6 or 7 parents, but I know of 6 or 7 just on my own, and I certainly don't know many parents. But it definitely affects, oh gosh, I don't even know, 75–80% of the girls.
Now, because of this entire situation, comments keep pouring into our Facebook and Report It. This one came from Alexis. Now, this is her dress when she tried it on.
That's the dress
in the store.
that Alexis
Her
has.
back is exposed, but her front is fully covered. Now, in that Report It she sent us, she writes, "I get my dress back Tuesday from alterations, and there is no possible way for me to get a new dress or to have it altered again to fit the new school dress code that wasn't even in the handbook." Again, the school claims students know about this. The students say this was never told to them, and when it was told to them, it was already too late. Now, a lot of people have been sounding off about this. Of course, if you'd like to, you can send us pictures or report it, or go onto our Facebook. And speaking of Facebook, coming up at 6:30, we're going to basically show you some of the comments people have been leaving regarding this matter here in Shelton. That's the very latest. We are reporting live this morning from Shelton. Brian Spiros, News 8.
Fuck. That was the prom dress controversy at Shelton. There's been 1, 2, 3, 4. And there is the 5th one.
And a big update on that prom dress controversy. It's a story that's now getting national attention. We first told you about it right here, Friday night at 11. We have just been flooded with all these
And all
photos
these
that you're looking
pictures, look at those
and
dresses. They've been
reported.
flooded by
They came
News
from
8.
students and parents who say that Shelton High School changed that dress code for prom with just a week's notice. And this afternoon, the school held a news conference to respond to all those upset parents and teens.
This story had people talking all weekend long. We were there to get some answers too. News 8's Noel Gardner is live for us outside Shelton High School with what's happening now. Noel?
Yeah, good evening, guys. Just days before their prom, school officials out here during a press conference this evening saying they are not backing down to what they deem as appropriate school attire. That means prom attire goes for the same as what you would wear in school as school attire. And they are not backing down as to what's in the school handbook at this time. And a lot of students I talked to were pretty disappointed, but the school also saying that there are only 6 to 7 questionable dresses. Last Friday, the school's headmaster, Dr. Beth Smith, made an announcement over the intercom that certain dresses would not be allowed, including back styles with cutouts. Now, the school superintendent, Freeman Burr, says they have the right to set a standard for what they believe is appropriate prom attire.
Again, we want our young ladies to be dressed beautifully. We want them to be dressed with class and dignity. But we are going to draw the line relative to attire that would be deemed overexposing oneself.
And coming up at 6, I'll tell you why some female students say it's a double standard. And they say it's for good reason. You're going to want to hear that report coming up at 6. We'll have much more. I'm Noel Gardner, live in Shelton. Now back to you guys in the studio.
But is there more? From Shelton? Nope. I guess this was from Shelton, the biggest one ever, but the question is, why can't you get a refund for your prom tickets even though it's the dress, even though the dress style dress code? Well, the situation is that nobody cares. They want to set rules and be strict. I'll be back in a moment with the final thought. Try to understand here. Why can't you just get your money back for the tickets even though you're out of dress code? Well, basically because it's just the discipline system. All schools have the right to have the dress code. I mean, to create a safe environment. That's what the school dress code is all about. You can't fight it. You can't even send emails to the media and have a press conference about this. But basically, all I have to say is that try to look your best for prom and try to have a great time, because it is the only time you will experience. Until next time, take care of yourself and each other. I'll see you Monday. Good night.